Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode number 110, and my name is Jason. I'm the owner of Outdoor Legacy, specializing in all things night vision and thermal optics. And I've got my co-host, Mr. Hans from the Hans East Texas YouTube channel. What's going on tonight, buddy?
Man, I had to turn down the volume. My earphones, you were coming in hot on that
Coming in
intro.
hot?
Yeah. I
Can
turned
you hear
my
me?
yeah, turned down my headphones a little bit. Yeah, hey, everything's going well. You know, if you're right now, if you are listening on the audio only version of this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify, first of all, thank you. Thanks for tuning in again this week. You need to head over to YouTube at some point when you can. So I'm going to show a picture, Jason. A buddy of mine, a buddy of mine, we were out this weekend hunting a new property that was 350 acres outside of town. It was purchased by my brother-in-law a couple of weeks ago, and it was purchased from Pure Oil or Chevron. So it was not owned by an individual; it was owned by a company. And so we really just started hunting it pretty hard this past week. Lots of hogs on it. Been seeing a lot of activity, lots of daytime pigs. But when we were driving around randomly in the middle of the woods, I sent Jason a picture. We found a grave in the middle of the woods, and it had a cross, fresh dirt. I sent Jason the picture, and he said, "Man, that dirt looks fresh."
And the cross looked fresh, like somebody just painted it.
Yeah. And it is, it's first of all, it's in the middle of the woods. It's not on a trail. Somebody had to kind of work to get over to this little spot. I mean, we saw tracks like somebody drove something through a little cutoff to get to this little spot, but we randomly, the way that we found it, we got lost off the main trail. We got off the main trail and ended up finding this. And I'm going to tell you, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up a little bit because that's kind of creepy, man.
It was in the middle of the night, right?
Middle of the night, middle of the woods, randomly found spot, fresh painted cross, fresh, stirred up dirt. And
it's weird.
Yeah, so I'm showing a picture now.
Well, and it's so funny. I just interrupt here. I guess this just shows my age. You said showing a picture, and I'm thinking, wow, did he print that off? Is he just going to hold it up in front of the camera? I didn't think about, this is digital. He could actually just insert the picture on the video. That's how old I am. Is that a Polaroid you've got holding it up? So I really, the whole time, that's all I could think about is how is he going to show? He's going to hold this picture up with the camera. So anyway, I know I'm just old man. So
yeah, you can tell you don't. You can tell you don't edit these videos.
No, that's right. I'm going to tell you that's a weird deal.
Yeah,
Hans sent that picture to me, and then he's like, "Well, I'm sure somebody's like buried a dog or a pet or something." I'm like, "No, that's a serial killer." I've watched enough late night crime shows. Straight up serial killer.
My buddy and I were talking through this, and we're like, "Okay, if you're trying to hide something that you shouldn't be hiding, you're not going to put a cross by it, but why would you bury something not on your property?"
That's not true. See, I've watched enough Criminal Minds and some of these shows over the years. That's a sign of remorse. So that's somebody, and they felt a little bad about it. I'm going to tell you what I would suggest. Y'all own the property now. Yeah. I think you need to go out there and start digging it up and see what's there. I mean, it's fresh. There should not be a human body there. So I think you need to go dig it up and see what it is, and then let us all know. I would really like to know. You should do that in the daylight, though, not at night.
It's like I saw a T-shirt online, and it says, "That sounds like a terrible idea. What time?" It sounds like
yeah.
It sounds like one of those type of situations. But that sounds like an awful idea, and I'm not going to go throwing no shovel.
I can tell you this: I would show up if you were digging that thing up. I just want to know what's there. I do. I want to know what's there.
Yeah.
I really. I mean, inquiring minds. It's like a cemetery. You're in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And y'all own the property, and it's not old. If it was old, I'd be like, "Oh man, somebody could have, got buried there 50 years ago." This is something new. I don't know, man. It's freaky.
It was creepy. I sent a picture to my wife, and she said the same thing you did, that the dirt looked fresh. And I don't know. I'm just going to avoid that area from now on. There's probably
I
ghosts.
think we have to know for the
Yeah.
viewers of the show, you got to dig this thing up just a little
Uh,
bit, just a little,
all right.
just
I'll
some.
get with the city to see if I can get a
The
permit. To...
city, you're not in the city. You're out in the middle of the boondocks.
All
Don't bring the
right.
government into this. Just take a sharpshooter out there and let's get this thing going. Just if you get
Yeah.
some fur, that's all that matters.
So if y'all listening out there and you're on YouTube, if you've ever come across anything creepy while you've been out hunting in the middle of the night, comment about it in the comment section of this video. I'd love to hear about it. This might be a good story for a Halloween episode, probably more fitting, but
Also, folks, if you think that Hans should dig this up, comment in there in the comments there, yes or no. I think he needs to dig it up just to see.
dig up somebody's dog.
Hey, it's. I'm
Yeah,
just saying, it's my idea.
well, I'll tell you this, that's the best thing that could be at the bottom of that hole, I'll tell you that.
That's my point exactly.
All
We would
right.
all be relieved.
So, Jason, you got a few updates on some scopes coming in? Isn't that
I do.
right?
We've got some scopes that are coming in. This is officially the first week of June 2020. I always like to specify this because somebody's going to pull this episode up, and you could actually listen to this in the end of June and this be no good. And if you pull it up in August or September or next June, it'll be no good guaranteed. But right now, June, first week 2020, we've got a few updates on some optics. Sightmark Wraith HDs, that's just the normal Wraiths. They've been out of stock for a while. Those are coming back in stock after some of the, kind of delays through the coronavirus. They'll be in stock. Expect to have those by the time this show is live. The Wraith bolt action mounts, that is something that, obviously it's exactly like what it sounds. It is a mount that goes with the Wraith for bolt action rifles. Those have been out of stock for several months now. And Sightmark got a huge shipment. Those are back in stock as of the taping of this. The Pulsar XQ50s, Thermions, those are still slowly shipping. I mean, the numbers have been decent. We're working through the back orders on those. Every time we get just about caught up, some more people call and jump on the list. So if you're interested in one of those, jump on the list for those. We're definitely moving through that. The Pulsar Trail LRF2s, we're still waiting on those. Those are being held up, waiting on some approvals by the FDA for the laser rangefinders. Don't have any real good ETA on those. It could be few days, could be a couple months. So sometime this summer, though, waiting on those. I've got a couple more things I want to mention here. One is the RXQ30V. I don't want to just spend a ton of time, but I think this deserves a little bit of talk time here, and we might have to mention this again later on because I know not everybody will see this episode. But the RXQ30V is Pulsar's entry-level $1,899 optic. It's been extremely popular since it was released in 2017. Its only real competitor was the FLIR Thermosight Pro PTS 233 for $21.99. FLIR is gone out of the market. The PTS 233 is gone. So what that's done is it's basically put all this demand on the RXQ. All right, so it's the only other scope in that price range, and it just is caused demand to go through the roof this year. At the same time, the supply has gone down. So Pulsar, as you know, has a lot of new optics on the market this year. A lot of stuff coming, all the way from the Helion models, the new LRF2s, the Digexes, the Thermion XQs, Axions. There's a bunch of stuff coming to the market. And so they've got to adjust the production on different models. They've got to discontinue some things and what have you to be able to make these. The RXQ production numbers that we're getting are way down from what they were. And Pulsar says that it's probably going to stay that way the rest of this year. Actually, we can't even put in orders for more than we already have in the system right now. They just know they have so many orders that there's no need in taking more right now. Not saying that won't change, but right now it's the way it is. So we have tons of orders in for them. It's just a matter of the factory getting them made and get them to us. So every day we've got phone calls and emails, people asking, hey, when are you going to have them in stock? The answer, truthfully, is probably never. And what I mean by that is, unless something crazy happens, meaning production goes way up or somehow demand goes way down, it's going to be a supply and demand deal. Every RXQ that we've gotten in the last 4 months has had somebody's name on it when we got it. And I imagine it's most that way with most other larger dealers as well. So my advice is, if you want one, give us a call, throw down a $100 deposit, get on the list, hold your spot in line for one if you want one, because catching one on the shelf at Outdoor Legacy is going to be probably extremely hard unless something changes. So anyway, I got a lot of questions about that. One more thing, I got 2 points of interest. One is, I'd say one of the optics that we have had probably the most buzz about and the most requests for a review so far in 2020 is the new AGM Asp Micro 160. And that thing is just created a lot of buzz. It's $499. We got our first shipment of those in last week, and they were all pre-sold. So those shipped right out. Hans and I demoed this unit after SHOT Show for several weeks, but we wanted to wait before we reviewed it. We wanted to actually get a final production unit in our hand just to be sure that nothing changed. We do each have one. We've both had one for a while now. We're using them, and we intend to review that very, very soon, possibly within the next week or so. And we do have other shipments of those on the way. I got a notification today that more are en route, so we will be getting them, and we will be reviewing it. Again, it's a very basic entry level thermal monocular, $499. I think it's something to be excited about. And I want to be clear. I'm going to say this before we even review it. This is not something that's going to take the place of your $2,000 monocular. It's not that. They didn't intend it to be that. So I don't want anybody to get excited and think that, you can buy now, $5,000 thermal for $500. It's not what this is, not what AGM intended it to be. But it is going to fill a really nice gap. It's going to be a great optic. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Very last thing. I'm sorry, Hans. I know I'm interrupting you. I'm just carrying on. But last thing, I'll let you talk. The Pulsar Thermion XQ38s, the most anticipated thermal optic of 2020, have begun shipping in extremely tiny quantities. And we have got them, and they are definitely all pre-ordered. We have a very long pre-order list, and so I just wanted to say that they have begun shipping. If you're on the list, don't call me. It's gonna be a while. Okay, we're gonna hold to the same timeline that we've been on. Whatever we told you, months. Yes, it could still take months to get your scope because we've got a lot of people on the list waiting. We have no idea how many they're gonna be shipping, but Hans and I are getting our hands on that unit this week, and we're gonna go ahead and start testing it. And we'll be ready to review it very soon over the next coming weeks. But basically, if you're on a list, whether it's our list or another dealer's, stick tight. They're getting close. Just be patient. But they're hopefully the numbers will get better. But we did just get the very first tiny shipment into the U.S.
So that's a lot of updates. There's a lot of things coming in, and a lot of things that people are anticipating and waiting. And that ASP 160, I've had it out a few times. I had plans on taking it out tonight after the show. We'll see how late this wraps up. But it's there's a lot to say about that. But so let's get into the topics, because Jason, I get a lot of guys that will, when they go hunt with me, or if they message me about hunting, they always say, have you seen those guys that use thermal drones to hunt hogs? And when we say that, there's not, little rifles mounted on drones that are
Minigun.
minigun that's mowing down hogs, remotely. But
that's a really good idea.
that is a pretty good idea. I have to check on the copyright on that, but I don't see ATF giving me any type of stamp for that.
And the FAA and the ATF probably would not allow that.
True. So, I don't. Have you seen these videos online? So I'll say this: Jason and I do not hog hunt with thermal drones. I've seen plenty of videos of people doing it. It's always seemed like a very interesting concept. But have you seen what some of these guys out there are doing with these drones, with these thermal drones?
I have watched some of it. It looks extremely exciting and fun, but I want to say one thing right up front. I want a drone.
Yeah.
I want a thermal drone. I want one really bad. I've been wanting a drone for a long time. I've got all the way down to a few times researching the different models and, okay, like this model does that and DJI this model. And, I've got it down to like, this is the one I want. And I'm looking at them, I'm pricing them, I'm looking on eBay for used ones, all this. And then every time there's like this small little voice on my shoulder that says, you're going to crash that thing in the first 5 minutes that you've got it. So do not waste all that money on the thing. And I'll tell you what, we're going to go off script here. We don't have a script. So I'm going to tell a quick story about drones, and then I'll be done, and we'll go back to hog hunting. So about 2 Christmases ago, my wife got me this little cheap $25 drone somewhere. And I think it was like one of these 1995 as seen on TV, just something.
Sounds very legit. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that it's all plastic. You know what I'm talking about. It's like Walmart, I don't know, something dirt cheap. And she got them somewhere because she got like me one and my father-in-law one or whatever. So Christmas morning, she got this for me. And, my kids are just cranked up. And my son then was about 4. My daughter was probably about 8. And they were just so excited. We got this little drone, and it's great. We got to go use it. And I'm like, I don't know how to use this thing. And, we open all the presents. We get everything done, and they just won't let it go. It's been charging over there. And so I'm like, all right, let's go see what this thing does. And so I'm still in like my pajamas, I've got on sleeving pants and a t-shirt. And so we open the front door, and I'm just like, kids, why don't we wait and we'll get, dressed. No, just for a minute. So we go out there on the front porch, and I don't have on any shoes. So I set this thing out in the grass, and I know that this thing doesn't weigh anything. So I can't have any wind. And I'm looking around, I'm feeling no wind, dead calm. So I start pushing some buttons, and this thing starts hovering up, coming off the ground. It's pretty sweet. And that thing goes straight up, just like you'd expect, not super fast. The kids are clapping. I mean, everybody, it's like you're christening a new ship, and that thing slide into the water. Everybody's happy. When that thing gets up above my roof line, what I didn't know is that there was about a 15-mile-an-hour wind above my roof line. And it hit that thing, and that thing shot like a rocket. It shot like it was on a GPS coordinates to the 3.5-acre lake that we've got over there. And it went straight out there and then dove straight into that thing. And that was the last time we ever saw that drone. And it was around 8.5 seconds of glory. And to this day, my kids, especially now my son, he's 5, and he'll say, Dad, do you think we can find that drone out there? I think the fish are down there living in the drone. So that's my experience with drones. But I want one. But then I remember that story, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably not. So I need to attach a $6,000 thermal to the bottom of it.
So that's a very unfortunate story. I mean, I could see why you might be a little hesitant to jump back in the saddle, but
strap a thermal to the bottom of one.
When I go outside sometimes, and my buddies, we get to the gate, and when you pull up with all your gear, you've got your side by side loaded on a trailer, you've got all your stuff. You pull into the gate, you've got to unload everything, pack up the mule, go hit trails, and a lot of times where we hunt, we have trails that we take that open up into pretty good sized fields. So you can't stand at the gate and look into this field, but you can take a little trail through the woods and then it opens up. Imagine instead of having to dump all your gear at the gate and load up and take all the time that it takes to do that, what if you could just get to the gate, send that drone up, fly it over your field, see if there's anything there. If not, bring it back and head on to the next spot. I mean, think how much time. And to me, when I see people using thermal drones, to me, that seems like the best use because of the time saver of unloading all your gear and your side-by-sides and your rifles and all this stuff, and being able to scout properties with that thing when you can't always just glass from front to back of a property. That to me makes it very, very tempting. And like I said, when I go out with guys, we hit the gate, the first thing's like, man, wish we had a thermal drone. We could just check instead of having to go out there and turn around and come back. But I mean, that seems like a great use.
I have a rebuttal to that.
Here
Okay, here's my rebuttal. So number one,
by the way, we're not trying to sell thermal drones. So
we're not trying to sell thermal drones. We may one day, but right now we're not. So my rebuttal is for you and I in East Texas and a lot of the South. Flying a drone during the daylight is dangerous enough. Flying a drone at night with all the trees we've got, when you pull in, I've been to some of your places and they're like our places around here. You pull in and you may be parked underneath trees. You're going to have to go send that thing up around all these trees and fly that thing in the dark. That seems like a bad idea. But the only other thing is, and I'll just say this and I'll be done. Your deal sounds really good as long as you have tons of properties to go to. But if you got one or two properties, your night may be over in like 3 minutes. Well, drone said didn't see anything. Let's go home, eat popcorn.
Well, these things, and I'm not a drone expert. I'll say that because I've played with one, I've messed with one before. I never bought one. I just didn't know if I could ever use it because it didn't have a thermal attached to it. But these things are so, and you know this, these things are so sophisticated now with GPS that you basically send this thing up, and if you get over a certain height, you're not going to hit any trees because there's no trees above whatever. And with GPS, you can navigate this thing and you can basically tell it exactly where to come back to, right where you're standing. And I mean, I don't know. I think it's a little bit more sophisticated than your Walmart.
I'm just saying that I do have experience with drones.
Oh, I know. We've heard the story.
Yeah, I didn't even hit that big white oak tree out there. I navigated around that. They're a magnet for trees and water. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing that I've seen with videos is people. Okay, and this is more for people that have bigger, wide open spots of land, but they'll send that drone up, and the drone does spook pigs. If you're, I think, close enough to the ground, the hogs can hear it and they spook. But you can use that to your advantage when you fly that drone up, and you can basically herd hogs. I've seen people do it. It's a real thing. You can herd hogs by scaring them with the sound of this drone, and that means circling around in them and lining up people on one spot on the property, circling that drone around and pushing them towards you. Just from the sound of that drone, they're going to run. And man, as far-fetched as it sounds, I've seen video of people doing it, and it's pretty dang cool. I'm not going to lie. Think about it. I mean, I look for every excuse that I can to not have to walk and go shoot hogs. That's why I started calling hogs, because I wanted them to run to me. I didn't want to run to them. I'm not trying to go out there and chase hogs all night long. I want them to not chase me, but I want them to come to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that would probably work in some open farm country or some maybe
it's really cool
brush country. But Yeah, I'm going back to. I just don't think that the piney woods of deep East Texas are probably going to be the perfect place for that.
So
But it
I don't
does
know.
sound fun.
It does sound
I
fun.
have to admit. I mean, I would like all this if number one, it wasn't my drone, it wasn't my thermal on the bottom of the drone. I'm not responsible for whatever happens to it,
Yeah,
and I just get to reap the benefits. I would be
yeah.
okay with it, but with my
Folks,
experience, it's
tune
probably not
in
going to be good.
within the next 6 months. Jason Robertson will have a thermal drone, and he will
It's
come on here
possible.
and think it is the greatest thing ever, and it's helped him kill 200 hogs. So
I
stay
will
tuned.
go on the record and say that it is possible because I really do
He
want
does
one.
want one.
And if I think I can figure it out and not crash that thing, and I think I can sell them, I will. I can guarantee you. But
I agree.
I'm gonna have to get one. I'm afraid though, if I get one, that I know what's gonna happen. My number one pro staffer and salesman, Mr. Hans, is going to say, "Hey, let me check that thing out and make some videos, and I'll never see it
I
again."
need to
You know,
demo it.
it's
That's how.
need to demo it,
That's it.
and
Need to demo it.
his demos last for 6 to 12 months. So you
What?
know,
Man, these false accusations.
false
There
accusations.
might be some scopes that have been sitting around here for a while, but they're all
No,
getting used.
I don't. I'm not saying sitting around collecting dust. You start using them.
That's right.
Yeah,
So thermal drones, two thumbs up. Yeah, great idea.
I as long as I'm not the one responsible.
Okay.
Yes. I think it sounds very, very fun, and I do want to look into it in the future.
So find a friend, everybody out there, find a friend that has a thermal drone. Go hog hunt. Go test it out. Let us know if it works. I think it does. I've seen the
Exactly.
videos, and the internet doesn't lie. So the
That's true.
next thing, and I have some pretty mixed feelings on this, but the hot thing, I'm telling you, if anybody, especially people from other states, but if people call you up or email you or talk about hog hunting, usually within the first two sentences is, man, have you seen those helicopter hog hunts and people going out there and just mowing down hogs, during a
Yeah.
day out of a helicopter? And I know people that have gone and done it. I know it's not cheap. It can be quite costly, but man, it looks like a lot of fun. And I don't know. I'm not the greatest flyer. Let's just say that.
Mm.
And I'm not super comfortable. Now I fly a lot, but I'm not super comfortable on planes. The idea of being halfway strapped into this thing and
Mm-mm.
leaning out of it
Mm-mm.
makes me feel like I would lose my mojo pretty quick in the middle of the flight of that helicopter.
Let me tell you something. I I, I don't do roller coasters. I don't do small airplanes. I mean, commercials fine, but small airplanes, that kind of
Yeah.
thing, just scares me.
Puddle jumpers?
If
No, I don't
puddle
do that.
jumpers,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me tell you something. If I'm in a helicopter, it probably means that I'm being life flighted somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not good. I can say if I'm in one, it's costing me a lot of money. It's because my life is in danger. Because I do not think.
Well,
I mean, the idea of like I do love flying when looking down and seeing everything. I mean, I think that's fascinating. I love like Google Earth and the satellite imagery.
uh-huh.
So I like all that in theory, but the idea, and so a helicopter ride for a really good pilot, you could convince me to do it. I could. Now, strapped into that thing with some belt tied to my back belt loop and me hanging out of there with an AR-15 and him flying that thing up at a 45-degree angle chasing a hog, that ain't going to happen. I can just
Yeah.
tell you. Yeah, not happening.
So, if you are on Instagram, and I'm sure if you're on Facebook, but when I'm on Instagram, I see videos that people post on a daily basis of helicopter hog hunts, and I mean I tell you, these pilots are pretty amazing because man, they are stopping that helicopter on a dime, turning it, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, whipping around these trees, and we're talking about flying really low. I mean, I say really low, but I don't
It
know.
seems low to me.
Seemed really low. I mean, when they're shooting these hogs, it seems really close. But I mean, and these guys are out there just mowing these hogs down, and there's a couple of good things from it. Obviously, the landowners are wanting these hogs taken care of and done and gone, and they can book a helicopter flight, and maybe they're helping out the landowners and giving them a little kickback or something. But I mean, it's also spurred some business, and that means, or a new industry, and that's these helicopter hog hunt companies that popped up and made a business out of it. So, kudos for them for being able to do that. But with the hogs being a bigger problem as they are, and I will say this, in the videos that I see, it's more of like obviously bigger, wide open fields and pastures where there's not heavy log sets in them. It's just brush every so often or so. But I mean, it looks pretty dang fun, and I don't know.
It looks like a video game to me.
It does look like a video game.
It looks like a video game, and I just tell you, I know some guys. I know several guys who've gone and done it, and the consensus that I've gotten from these are, most of these guys that I've talked to are not big, avid hog hunters anyway. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of something like, they just paid to go do it. They wanted to do it, and they all thought it was fun. The consensus of these 2 or 3 different guys that I talked to the most about it said that, you better have your Wheaties locked down, because if you get seasick, if you get motion sickness, it's going to be bad. The other thing is, they said they felt like there was a lot of shooting for not that many hits. They said it because you're moving, the hog's moving.
Oh, yeah.
You're turning, the hog's. I mean, there's a lot going on there, and
it seems difficult.
And what this other guy said that I hadn't thought about was, he said you're shooting at that hog from above, not necessarily directly above, but above, mm-hmm. and kind of at an angle. So he said if you really look at that, your actual target is much smaller than when you're shooting at the side of that hog. I was like, well, I never really thought about it, but you're right. He's like, oh yeah, that target is very narrow there. And it definitely, and he said, where they were hunting, he had some videos. It was brush country.
Yeah.
So basically they would almost lose those hogs. They would get in this like thick mesquite, and then they would come out on the other side, and there'd be like an opening, and you're own them, and then and it looked like work.
What would happen to me is I'd get up in one of those helicopters, and the pilots would probably look at each other and be like, man, I heard this guy was a shooter, but he kind of sucks. And I would be like, yeah, because I've had my eyes closed the whole time.
Yeah, I'd be afraid I'd be the guy that would that would shoot a hole in the floorboard or something, or I don't know what they call them. So I'm going to show my ignorance here. Yeah. But whatever those feet are, I hate. Somebody's going to correct me.
The step rails or whatever.
Whatever the little things that it lands on. When a helicopter lands, there's those rails. I don't know what they are.
Any helicopter experts out there, come on, help Jason out as far as what the technical term is.
I know they're going to be. They look like they're feet to me. I have no idea.
The little things that they land on. So
exactly. Whatever those are, I guarantee you I'd be shooting some holes in those. Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt. That's what I
promise you. I'm sure there's a couple holes in the bottom of those helicopters.
It definitely does look fun, but I can tell you, realistically, if I'm only going to do one, I would risk my money on crashing that thermal drone in the top of a pine tree and it falling off in a lake before I probably go risk my life and my my ego going up there and getting scared and bear hugging the thing.
I'm gonna have to book us on a helicopter hog hunt, you and me, just because I want to see you get up there and pee your pants. Basically,
you know me better than that. You couldn't make me leave the house for that.
and folks, he is not lying. He just won't go. He'll flat out tell you. And it'll be like, nope, sorry, it ain't happening.
Yep, sorry, you can't make me. But that's the joy of being an adult. You can't make me.
You can't. Peer pressure does not work anymore with him.
Does not work. I'm not trying to impress anybody.
So, 2 thumbs up on the helicopter hog hunt.
No,
y'all keep the Y'all keep the videos coming because I love what it's pure.
Oh, I want to watch the videos. Yeah, I just don't want to go. I'm giving you 2 thumbs up for watching them. For me doing it. thumbs down. Not happening.
I'm on the fence about it. I'm 50-50. If I had a chance to go, it'd be like I'd be really. I would feel really dumb for not doing it, but I'm not going to actively pursue trying to go out and book one. I've got to. I mean, it's got to be a good excuse to do it. But hey, I love the videos. Y'all keep them up, and kudos to the companies doing it, and especially the helicopter pilots. That I mean, those guys look freaking awesome out there flying the helicopter around.
They do. Hey, at the end of the day, you're shooting hogs. Hogs are dying. Landowners are being helped. And if somebody can make money somewhere in the middle and somebody can have fun, I think that sounds like a win-win-win all the way around. So go for it.
So thank y'all for joining us this week. This has been episode 110 of the Late Night Vision Show, the first and only podcast for all you night vision hog and predator hunters. Like Jason said, we've got the review of the ASP 160, AGM ASP 160 coming up soon. We've got some other reviews coming up soon, some scopes breaking loose. We are actually, Jason and I were talking about it before this show. We're going to start putting together some interviews and get some more interviews out for you guys and girls out there that are wanting to learn more about hog hunting. If you're into it, if you're just a beginner, if you're an expert, then maybe you can get on and tell us how to do it a little bit better. It never hurts. But thank you all again for joining us. If you want to find Outdoor Legacy gear, if you're interested in purchasing any night vision or thermal optic, you can find everything on the website, outdoorlegacygear.com. You can always call Jason at 877-350-1818 and talk to the lovely and very nice and very helpful Michaela, the office manager, who gets more compliments about her service than anybody I've ever seen in the business. So she does
and if it was not for her, we would probably no longer exist because I'd have thrown my hands up and just burned the place down.
Everybody that calls wants to talk to Michaela. They pretty much don't want to talk to Jason or I. They want to talk to Michaela.
And that's better. That's right.
Exactly.
Better for them. They get more done talking to her than me.
Yeah. So you can also, if you want to check out more of Outdoor Legacy Gear stuff, you can find it on Facebook, also on YouTube and Instagram. And you can find me over, my voice just broke like I was a 15-year-old teenager.
Puberty.
Yeah, I need a drink. If you want to find me, I just put out on my YouTube channel, that's Hans ETX, Hans East Texas, the full review of the Pulsar Thermion XQ50. I know we did the full review on this channel, but also it's got some more thermal video from the scope that hasn't been seen. And if you want to check that out, you can definitely do it on the YouTube channel, Hans ETX. And the only other place that I really hang out is on Instagram, and I post just about a picture a day. And it's from hog and predator hunts, videos, sometimes some funny stuff, some embarrassing stuff. But if you want to see me there, you can check it on Instagram. I hang out over there a lot. Jason, leave anything out?
Well, I do. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, please please subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you're listening on one of the podcast apps, if there's an option to rate us, please rate the podcast. It definitely helps us to get the word out there. We know that a lot of people are watching this on YouTube, and we show a lot of things. And I know we a lot of times are kind of geared towards that, but we know that there are a lot of people listening on the podcast apps, and we don't want you to think we don't appreciate you. We really do. Mm-hmm. Those numbers are growing.
They are.
We've just shocked the number of people that are every week people listening on all the podcast apps.
It was when we started doing the YouTube videos, that was instantly became the most popular. And I don't know, maybe they just wanted to see you and see video of you. Sure. But here lately, the last several weeks, man, the audio only podcast version on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify have just exploded, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what's causing that, but more people
they don't want
to see us. Yeah, man. Exactly. But thank y'all. Yeah, please give us a good rating on all those services. It does help us. It really, whenever you rate us on iTunes or any of those podcast apps, it makes us easier to find in searches because
Same thing with YouTube.
so
I
yeah,
mean,
YouTube too.
that's the
Yeah.
way they work,
Yep.
and so yeah, every time new people subscribe, new people like whatever,
Mhm.
share, then it definitely helps. So, folks, we appreciate that support. Please keep doing it. Listen, if you're listening this far, we know you're a dedicated listener. We appreciate it. Leave us a comment. If you need to send us an email, you can do that. But if you're watching on YouTube, then you can leave the comment right there. If you've got show suggestions, let us know what they are. Doesn't mean it's always something we can do. Sometimes it's just something we can integrate into part of a show. But
Mhm.
suggest them. A lot of these things. I mean, this week these were things that people have been asking us about, and that's why I brought them up. So if you've got something that you want us to talk about, let us know, and we'll see what we can do. We appreciate you coming back every week. We appreciate all the support. We appreciate, when y'all support us at Outdoor Legacy. It means a lot to both Hans and I. And so please come back next week. We plan on being here, episode 111.
Wow.
Yeah, 111. So check us out next week. And folks, between now and then, stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.